Have you ever had something that was a part of your childhood and that you cherished a lot, and then it was just gone? This might have been maybe some kind of food or store or a book kind of thing. Anything like that. It was something that you really liked as a kid, and then just by the time you were an adult, they weren't making it anymore. It's always sad to see something you really like go out of production, be discontinued, or be shut down, whatever. It's always sad to see those things go because you always think they're going to be around. They're going to be around when you're an adult, when you're old. They're going to be around and you're going to go and show them to your children, and then they will show them to their children, and on and on and on and on. But that's not the point of part of life. Sometimes some of your favorite things are going to go. And this is pretty much what this video is going to be about. Just things that usually just I kind of cared about when I was a kid, but sadly are pretty much all gone now, or are maybe there, but pretty rare at this point. So it's just lose my words. Pretty much going to be a video about things that I had as a kid, but are now gone. Toys R Us. This was pretty much the thing that decided I was going to go and make this video. Because today it was announced that Toys R Us is going to go and close over 180 stores. Which is quite a lot. It's almost 200 stores that they're going to go and close nationwide. And I think the store that I'm close to is going to be spared, I think, for now. But it's still sad to see that many are going to go away, because you know that at one point, even if this doesn't involve yours, your Toys R Us is just around the corner. It's really sad to think, because I do have some cherished memories of going to Toys R Us. I do always remember about going over there, and my younger brother and I would spend all our money on all these Dragon Ball Z toys that we would always get, and we had a lot of fun with those. Some of them didn't last, but we had just a ton of fun with them, and we spent a lot of our Christmas and our birthday money on them. We had Majin Buu, we had tons of Gokus, Vegetas, Gohans, and they were a lot of fun to play with. My friend and I would also often go and reenact the series by just going and doing the Sand Saga, the Freezer Saga, the Cell Saga, the Boo Saga, and doing all that, and we had quite a lot of fun on doing that. But it looks like people won't be able to go to Toys R Us and do that anymore. I also remember one time I had to go to the dentist for something, and my face was all puffy like you sometimes go when you have to go to the dentist. So I forgot why we had to go there, if we had to get something, but since I was in pain, my mom allowed me to go and pick out something, and I went and picked out Pokemon, the movie 2000, which I'm pretty sure I still have to this day. So that was another thing that was pretty good, since most of that day I just wasn't feeling that great all up in my mouth, but at least I had a movie to watch when I got home, so there's that. I also remember one time when I had to go there, I was going to this one girl's birthday party who I was really good friends with, and so we were walking around the store, and I pretty much stopped because this is the girls section. I'm not going in there. And my mom's pretty much just like, get in here, get in here, get in here. I'm like, no, no. And she pretty much just had to go and drag me in there. So I went and grabbed a Barbie or something like that and just put it to the checker, like, check it out so I can get out of here. Bad enough that I had to carry the thing throughout the store, but the party was fun. I liked the party a lot, but still having to go and get it wasn't really all that great. I mean, I think that actually might have happened a few times or so, but this one time I was thinking about it happened when I was about 7 or 8 years old, so when that happens, you really don't want to go and have people see you walking around with a girl's toy. It's pretty much just the end of your life that thing happens, so it's pretty much sad to go and see Toys R Us go away. And Then there's also KB Toys, which was another toy store, which was pretty much kind of like Toys R Us, but just a lot smaller. They were usually toy stores you would see at your local mall or something, and I do remember going to those years ago when I was a kid, and wow, they've been gone probably for over 10 years now, maybe longer. I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember having to go and see a lot of those when I was a kid, and it's pretty sad to go and see them go. Blockbuster. So, Blockbuster is something that a lot of people remember. And it's something that was around for a good 25 years, close to 30. But, I don't know, close to its, a little after its 20th anniversary, it just really was never the same. Because I noticed by probably, around the end of the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era and was going to the next generation for video games, there just weren't as many people at Blockbuster anymore. Before that, there would always be people just walking around, getting their movies and games, and by then, just it would be a good chance that you would be the only one in the whole store, not counting the employees. It was really sad to see sometimes, just it going down more and more and more. I have all these cherished memories of getting games, good and bad, movies, good and bad. I'm pretty sure when I was really little, they would actually have something that you can go and play games on, which just to go and test them out if you like them. But by the time I was probably in school, I don't think they really had that anymore. So that was kind of stupid. I don't know why they took that away. And it's because of Blockbuster that I got into some franchises that I love, like Jak and Daxter. Let's see, what else? Kingdom Hearts, The Legend of Zelda, and I do remember the first time I saw The Legend of Zelda. I was going through the aisles just trying to find something good, and I saw all these games that said Zelda on. I was like, I wonder what this is. So I look at the bag and I see just a kid swinging a sword around. That looks pretty fun, and I guess I'll get it, and it could entertain me. After that, I was a huge fan, and I've been a huge fan ever since and never looked back. So I gotta thank Blockbuster for getting me into the Zelda fandom, and it was really sad to go and see them go. By the time they closed down, I hadn't been in a Blockbuster in a few years since the area I lived in didn't have one anymore, so there was really nothing I could go and do about that. But the one I grew up with, I think, closed about 5 or 6 years ago, so it's gone and it doesn't matter, and really the only ones left are pretty much in places like Alaska and other places where it's very scarce. There's buildings that are pretty much miles apart, and the internet isn't really the fastest thing around, so Blockbuster is kind of needed. And it's probably kind of funny because there are a bunch of kids today who don't know what Blockbuster is, and then in places like Alaska they do know what it is. So it's really it's really sad to see them go, and funny that I'm going to be going and telling my kids about back in the day when you had to go to a store to go and rent a movie or a game, and there would be that possibility that they wouldn't have it anymore. And that still happens today. Usually Netflix or Hulu or anything like that will go and get rid of a TV series or a movie that really isn't popular anymore. But if you went to a store and you just were hoping to get this game, and then, oh, sorry, we're sold out. Ugh. So you go and get the game you had last week, or some piece of crap game that's been there for months and no one wants, so it really cherished memories right there. Wonder Ball. This is pretty much just going to be about actually just a bunch of foods, and one of them is Wonder Ball. And see, they had a catchphrase to it or something like that. I forgot what it is, but I was like, who knows what surprises a Wonder Ball can hide? Candy shapes of something with candy shapes inside. Something like that. I don't exactly remember what it was, but it was catchy. And I did get a Wonder Ball a few times. From what I remember, the chocolate wasn't really that great. I don't remember liking the chocolate that much. Wasn't really that good tasting, but I think I do remember that the little candy shapes in there were okay. They were pretty good. but it was just so long ago that I don't really remember that much, but that's what I do remember. And most Wonder Balls pretty much had characters for Disney movies and maybe a few Nickelodeon shows and Pokemon. So that's pretty much what it was back then. If it was still around today, it would probably have Minions or, let's see, what else are kids into these days? I don't know, Loud House characters, SpongeBob. So that's what it would probably have today if it was still around. And then another food I finally remember were Dunkaroos. Now, Dunkaroos were a pretty good snack in my opinion. They were pretty much just your average just little cookie snack that you go and put in frosting, and they were pretty addicting. And technically, they are still around, but they're really hard to find. Years ago, you could just find them at your local grocery store. But today, you pretty much have to go into a dollar store, and even then, it might be pretty rare to go and find them. And I don't know why they got rid of them. I'm pretty sure they were popular, and I know there's a lot of people who want them back, so I don't know why they got rid of them. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and they're pretty much just, it's the snack for 80s kid and 90s kids that they love, and I just don't understand why they got rid of them. And who knows, maybe one day they will bring them back, since they're bringing back a lot of snacks now, like Surge, and they did have a, what's it called, a Ecto Cooler for a while when Ghostbusters was out, so they might bring it back at one point, but I still wouldn't get our hopes up too much. Another drink I remember was, I forgot what the name of it was, but maybe people could help me, and I tried to search for it, but I couldn't find any information about this. And it was some sort of drink where you would go and put a little candy in, and it would change color. So maybe you would go and put a candy into a red drink, and then it would change to purple, or something like that. And I couldn't find any information on this. I don't know if maybe I'm just bad at researching these kind of things, but I couldn't find anything about it. And I know I didn't dream it, since my parents remember it too. Both my parents said they do remember getting it for me, so I can't be dreaming it, or they dreamed about it too. So it has to be real, or just maybe it was just a local drink that was sold around where I live. So if that's the case, then I'll probably never find out what it was. So, but it was a drink I liked a lot. It pretty much came in like just a little standard cups you see for like Kool-Aid, the little Kool-Aid drinks, or let's see, what else is there? Just the ones that are shaped like this. They're sort of like water bottles, but a lot smaller. So you see Kool-Aid in them, and a bunch of other drinks and things like that. So they're not around anymore from what I know. Maybe they're just not sold in this area anymore too. But I'm not really sure what happened to them, and it would be really cool if they returned. VHS. So this pretty much goes and kind of links to Blockbuster. VHS and tapes. That was also kind of another sad thing to go and see go. When you were a kid, you would go and pop in your favorite movie or TV show when you were bored and just watch it. And then you would get to the end and you were like, ah, crap, I gotta rewind it. And half the time, I was too lazy. I'm like, I'm not gonna rewind that. Someone else can do it. I would just go and pop the TV out and put it back into the cabinet and be done with that. And it is sad to go and see something like VHS go, but it had to go and be replaced by DVD, which is now getting replaced by Blu-ray and might get replaced by streaming at one point. So, I mean, for the most part, I can see why we had to go away from it, because over time, VHS tapes do kind of go and just deteriorate over time. You can kind of notice that the color fades and there will be more static and things like that. And for a lot of us, most of us should probably go and get our home movies converted to DVD. My family still hasn't done that, and we probably should do it very soon before the tapes just go away completely. Luckily, they are still in good shape actually, but one day we do have to go and get them converted to DVD, so we just have them in like that just in case something happens to the VHSs. So, VHS tapes, that's another thing I'm going to be going and telling my kids about. This is a VHS tape. When I was a kid, this is what I had to watch movies on. And when we were done, we had to rewind it. Rewinding means you had to press this button and the machine would go and take the movie back to the very beginning. It couldn't do it by itself. And they were probably just like amazed at it, like my pretty much like the same reaction we would have to all of our parents and how they didn't have TV remotes back then and how TVs were black and white. So it will be fun going and telling them those kinds of stories. Game systems. Game systems, they come and go. I've been playing video games ever since the Super Nintendo. I remember playing Super Mario All-Stars on there, Earthbound, Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country. I had a lot of fun on there, and I remember when my brother got his N64, I think it was from our grandparents, would be like, yeah, N64, yeah, like the N64 kid off that one old video, and we would go and play Super Mario 64 on there, and of course, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask as well, and Mario Party, Super Smash Bros., and tons of other fun games. And then after that, we were debating on what system should we get for the next generation. I wanted a GameCube. I think my older brother wanted an Xbox, and my younger brother wanted the PS2. And since my younger brother was usually always the winner, we got the PS2. And I guess, arguably, it was the right choice. Since I've never really been much of an Xbox fan, I played some of the games, but I just really couldn't get into them that much. I don't know what it is about Xbox games that I don't like too much, but I could really never get into them. But, and GameCube still would have been a good alternative. There were a really lot of good games on the GameCube, but it didn't have a DVD player, and for a lot of people, the PS2 was their first DVD player, because back in the early 2000s, DVD players were pretty expensive. And funny enough, the PS2 was pretty much the cheapest DVD player out there. So for a lot of us, it was our first DVD player, and it's where we got to go and watch our first DVDs on. So it was a good choice, I guess, because we got to play Kingdom Hearts, Jak and Daxter, the GTA games. It was a good choice, and I mean, GameCube, it would have been fun, but one of my friends had a GameCube, so I still had a lot of fun going and playing on that. And then of course, we went on to other systems like the Wii and the Wii U, the PS4, etc., etc. And it is always sad to see them go, because I remember playing the games on there, having all those memories, and just when the system is gone and you know that there's never going to be another game on there again, it's just like, man, really? It's gone? And it's also really sad that multiplayer isn't what it was like back then. Today, multiplayer, it's still around. You mostly see just online gaming today, at least for people my age, because we really can't have multiplayer like we used to, since we're at work and we're at different places right now. We're miles apart. And I remember just playing Super Smash Bros. And Mario Party and a bunch of other games that had multiplayer with my friends, and it was just so much fun. And while online play is fun too, just when you're right beside your friends, it's a whole different experience. It's a whole different experience. It's just a lot more fun, because it's just so much social when you're with your friends. You'd be like, oh, I beat you, and your friendship is pretty much almost destroyed, but then the next day you're best friends again. Just so many memories. And my friends and I would just go and play our games and piss all of our parents off by being super noisy and eat a bunch of unhealthy snacks. And it actually reminds me of this one time we were eating goldfish, and we would go and getting called spiced up when we were eating them. And my friend once went and ate a few, and he ran to the bathroom and spit them out because one of them was extra cheesy or something. And my brother and I were just laughing our asses off. Multiplayer, I miss it. Video game manuals. Today, video game manuals have pretty much been replaced by just what's the word I'm looking for? I guess just I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but the ones that are on the game. And it's sad because these ones just, they don't look that great. They're bland looking. They're just all white and they have no pictures, no color really. It's just, they're bland. The ones that were on paper, they had all these drawings on it. They would have funny jokes. They would tell the story to you and just tell you some interesting facts. They would go and tell you maybe all the enemies that are in the game or all the items and just a bunch of other stuff. And they could be really interesting. I would actually remember that sometimes I would read the manual before I played the game because I was just like, oh, I wonder what's it going to be like. Ooh. And some of them were just, they were really fun to read. And when they switched to the ones that are on the game, they're just not nearly as interesting. And I mean, I understand that they had to go and make some drawbacks on them, but can't they at least just throw in a joke or something like in there? Just don't make them just so boring as they are. Oh. And I mean, I can understand why they got rid of them. I mean, it saves trees, it's good for the environment, and just it also goes and saves the company money. I understand that, and I can see why they do it, but it just sucks to go and see them go away because the manuals that were on paper were just so much more lively. They would make you laugh, they would make you happy. These other ones, I mean, you just skip it usually. That's what you usually do. Sometimes I'll go and check it out to go and see what the controls are, but that's it. It's not really even worth to go and check it out because they're just so stupid these days, and I really miss them, even though I do understand why they got rid of them. The Nickelodeon message boards. So this is something that I'm not sure how many people will remember, but Nickelodeon used to have message boards on their sites, and they were kind of fun since it was the first message board I was ever a part of. And I've joined many message boards ever since, like Pixar Planet and No Homers and KH Bids, and all of them were really fun. But just the Nickelodeon one will always hold a place in my heart as the first one I ever joined. And this was back in about 2001, 2002, around there. And just, it was the world and the internet was just a lot different back then. That was back when pretty much no kids had cell phones. Instead of going on the internet, you had to go on a desktop all the time. Back then, only the rich kids had cell phones, and you were the coolest kid back then. I remember one of my best friends had a cell phone, and we were like, oh my god, you have a cell phone! But the Nickelodeon message board, it was pretty fun. Just, we would talk about what was our favorite Nicktoon and our favorite Cartoon Network show, and we would even get off board, like talk about school and how our day went, everything like that. And I made some friends on there. I made some friends that I stayed in contact with for a couple years or so. And it was like that until I was just not really, kind of not in Nickelodeon's demographic anymore, so I think I stopped pretty much going there a lot, maybe around 2005, 2006, and I completely stopped watching Nickelodeon by about 2009, so 2010, and by then, pretty much everyone I knew on the message board was gone, so there was really no point in just getting on there anymore, because since it was just a bunch of kids, and why would I want to go and talk to about a bunch of 10-year-olds when I was about 20? It's kind of weird and there's just really no point about it. And now the Nickelodeon message board is no more. I'm not really sure why they got rid of it. Maybe just they got complaints from parents of bullying and things like that, or maybe just they weren't as lively as they used to be, so they went and got rid of it because of that. And it is sad to go and see it go, even though I think they hated me. Every time I would try to go and post an actual message, a new topic, it would usually not get on there. Now, for other people, theirs would get on there, but for me, no. Out of all the years I was on there, I think I may have gotten about 2 freaking new topics on there. I would always get usually a new reply on there, but no. I would get maybe about 2 new topics, and I'm pretty sure they hated me. I don't know why, but I think they hated me for some reason. And my username was really weird. It was 7TY7YY. 7TY7YY. And I was trying to come up with a good nickname, and every time I came up with a clever one, it was taken. So I just kind of got mad. I was like, ugh! And just went and typed in a bunch of letters, and it came out of that. I was like, okay, I'll pick that. I'll pick that. It can't be taken. It just can't be taken. That has to be a unique one. And no one had it. So that's the one I chose, and even people back on that board thought it was a weird username, but it's what I had to pick. So it was sad to see it go, but by the time it was pretty much dead, I wasn't on it anymore, and even then, before that, all my friends on there were gone, and I lost contact with them years ago. The last one I was in contact with was some guy from Utah, so I'm not even sure what he's up to today. I think his name was Ghost Rider or something. So Ghost Rider, whatever, if you're watching this and you remember me, hey, haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing? Chances are you're not watching this, so saying that was completely pointless. But it was fun going on that site, but I had a lot more fun on other message boards too, like Pixar Planet, even though that's kind of dead now, which is really sad to see since Pixar is still really fun, but it was good to be on there. Nickelodeon Magazine and lose my words again, and Nintendo Magazine. Those were 2 that I always liked reading as a kid. And technically I think Nickelodeon Magazine is back, but it's not the same as it was. It's pretty much about breadwinners or whatever, or Sanjay and Craig, some things like that, and it's just they're talking about stupid shows that no one cares about, and it's like, if you're bringing it back, talk about all your shows. Heck, why not do SpongeBob? And Nickelodeon Magazine, it was always fun to watch since they had all these comics. They would talk about upcoming shows and everything like that. And there was also the Rugrats magazine, which we also got when I was a kid, so that was pretty fun as well. And I also finally remember the Nickelodeon magazine commercial where the kids were trying to go and convince their parents to go and get the Nickelodeon magazine. So that was a pretty good commercial that I also fondly remember. And for some reason I also remember that the phone in the commercial was the same phone that I had as a kid. So I don't know why I remember that, but I do. Then there's Nintendo Magazine. That was also fun. Like Nickelodeon Magazine, they had comics, and they would also have walkthrough on it. They would talk about future games and have fan art and everything like that. It was fun to see, and they went and got rid of it about 5 years ago. I'm not sure, maybe it just wasn't selling anymore, but it's also just another thing that from my childhood that is gone. And then there's also another magazine that was the Dragon Ball Z magazine. I think the Bandai magazine, I forgot what it was called, but it was a Dragon Ball Z magazine that was released, I think, monthly or bi-monthly, and they were really interesting to watch or read, since like the other things I talked about, it had fan art, it talked about future episodes, it talked about the toys, the cards. They were really fun to read at the time, but after Dragon Ball Z ended, they went and just they were still in production for a while, but they just went to a bunch of other animes like Full Metal Alchemist and Naruto and Pokemon and things like that. So when that happened, I pretty much just lost interest in it. We were subscribed to it for about maybe a year or a year and a half or so, and we're just like, yeah, this isn't worth it. It really isn't that interesting anymore. So we got rid of it. I'm not really sure if they're still around anymore. I'm guessing not, probably not. But they were really fun to read at the time. So the Dragon Ball Z magazine, the Nintendo magazine, and the Nickelodeon magazine. All magazines I had as a kid, read, enjoyed, and are pretty much all gone now, except for Nickelodeon magazine, but now it sucks. 2D films. So 2D films are pretty much still around, but they're pretty uncommon. Since, back in just up until about the mid or early 2000s, 2D films would be out every year. You would see them from Disney or other studios. But now, they're extremely rare. The last 2D film I can remember off the top of my head would be Winnie the Pooh, which I don't think made a lot of money. I don't think it even got that much advertising, which is probably to blame for it, but that's the last one I remember, and that was in 2011. Before that, I think it was Princess and the Frog in 2009, and before that, I think it was the Simpsons movie, I guess, which was in 2007, and then before that, Home on the Range, maybe, in 2004. So, they went pretty much being to every year to every couple years. And a lot of people like to go in and blame Pixar for that, particularly Toy Story, because since it was the first fully CGI animated movie, and a lot of people like to go and blame Pixar for that. And I think people who are even in Pixar have even said they're sorry for going and destroying the 2D film industry. And it is really sad to go and see them go, since just seeing them all the time there was really great. And if I knew 2D films were going to go, I probably would have seen them more than I did. Since just pretty much all of them are gone. And you only see them every few years now. I mean, I don't think there's really even one in production right now. I think, I'm trying to think of one. I can't think of one right now, but from what I know, there's no 2D film in production. There might be, I could be wrong, but from what I know, there's not one in production right now, and so it's been almost a decade since we've had a 2D animated film. But I mean, they're not dead, but they're just a rarity. I mean, if you want to see a 2D animated film, you're more likely to go and see an anime film like a Miyazaki film. Those are more likely now than American 2D animated films. But I guess just that's what happens in life, Back in the 20s and before that, it was mostly silent movies. That was the popular thing back in the day. But by the 1930s, it was pretty much all sound films, and silent films pretty much became a rarity. Even though, sadly, the majority of silent films have been destroyed or lost, since they would catch on fire really easily, and they were really durable, and sometimes people would go and destroy them because they didn't like them for some reason. So that's another thing sad about that era. So much silent movies that we would probably love to go and see are now gone, and we'll never go. And no matter what, we'll never get to go and see them again unless there's a copy out there somewhere, which is very unlikely. But yeah, 2D films, like silent films, we gotta move on from them, I guess. But at least we are going to get to have the ones that are already out there, and we'll get to know that once in a very blue moon, there will be a 2D animated film. And that's pretty much my list of things that just aren't really around anymore that I would like to go and see again, but are probably not going to be around again. We all have our things that we're really going to miss when we're adults because we won't get to go and see them around anymore, but that's kind of the thing about growing up. You always think that maybe this thing will get to go and be with you, but you find out that you're going to have to go and let it go at one point, and eventually your parents had to go and do the same, and then your kids will probably have to do the same at one point too. So, who knows? Some of these things might come back, and some of them might never come back. Dunkaroos, they have a chance on coming back. VHS, that's probably gone forever. I don't see that ever coming back. But we will always get to have all the memories we get to have with them. We'll get to share them. We'll get to go and tell our kids about them and maybe share them with them. And as long as we do get to share the memories, they still technically will live on. Kind of like Coco. As long as you share the memories of that person, they still will technically live on forever. So, while these things may be gone physically, they won't be gone mentally for a long, long time.